It's a privilege to be back as senior coach at the St Kilda Football Club. Once this opportunity started to open up, I reflected on the special bonds and friendships I have with past players and staff that I've maintained since 2007 and my departure. I presented to the board and I got very emotional. When I left, I dropped an iron curtain, and when I spoke about that moment and how I felt about St Kilda, I did get very, very emotional, and it sort of unleashed a lot of memories. There was a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but it sort of really validated how I felt about the club, if there was any doubt. We all know, and I look around the room, it's quite daunting, but AFL coaching is incredibly challenging. It takes you to places sometimes men or women shouldn't go, but I'm really up for the fight. I feel like I'm ready to take the emotional risk to give everything without any guarantee, and that guarantees you your best chance, and that's exactly the message to my players. So I certainly needed to be in that headspace, which then drives your work ethic and your desire and your willpower to deliver and work hard. This has been no certainty. It's been a challenging week for both parties. It's been challenging in the right way. We've gone through philosophies, vision for the club, what you see the important pillars are, and at the end of it I come out with really strong trust with Andrew and Simon, and Jeff Walsh in particular. His appointment was critical in me actually getting across the line, because that then delivers the 4 pillars that you need for success, which is a strong president, CEO, experienced football GM in Jeff Walsh, which is that, and I think I'm clearly the last piece in that. So I'm happy to take questions, but that's in a nutshell.
Ross, when was your first approach from the board, the executive, or a third party, the Saints, to ask you whether you wanted to coach the Saints?
Well, 2 things. Andrew contacted me after the Thursday night, which he spoke to, post the review. For a long time there's been St Kilda, even when I was coaching at Fremantle, there was all that noise about me coming back to St Kilda. There's a lot of influential families around St Kilda that I do have relationships with that always spoke about their romance. It was never on my radar. And there was one contact where I said, let's make this very clear. I'll never, because I did learn. Did I make mistakes? No, I think I was walked into something that really was unpalatable in the end for all parties. So it was very clear that I would enter no discussions. And the words I use are a bit stronger than that, why you had a senior coach. And at that time, and that was a long period ago, that I emotionally, that the percentage chance of being coaching again was because I was very satisfied in the commercial world and really enjoying the media and the team within that media and property. So, I sit here really clear, and I think you can probe and all those things, but that should make it really clear from my end where I sat.
So what changed, Ross? Why are you mentioning that?
That's a really good question, and look, I hate to use the name, but I'm going to use it because he's got the most potential in the AFL, which is Lee Matthews. He rang me during the week, out of the blue, unsolicited, and he just, how are you? And he understands it, and I said, shared a little bit, and he said, you don't wake up one day and think, I want to coach AFL football. Because when you've been through it, you know the highs and you know the lows, you know the challenges, you know the hot seat you're in, and you know the expectation. You actually need to be taken along a journey with the people that want to employ you and convince you that all the pillars are there, so then you'll take that emotional risk. And that's really what happened with me, to be truthful.
Ross, there's been a number of clubs who have been seeking out a new coach in recent times. You made that contact with some or all of them. Was it always going to be...
Yeah, I never make contact with anyone. I've never called anyone for a job.
St Kilda, were they always going to be the club?
No, in all honesty, I was really moving on with Wisel Property Group. It's been an incredible experience. I feel like through the media I understand it better. I don't know if I'm cuddly, Ross, but I've got great. I see how hard people work without being a sycophant about it, and the skill set they bring. So that's given me a greater depth of understanding. And I learned a long time ago how important our broadcast partners are, and they fund the game. So that's never been an issue. With the commercial property, you just get a depth of skill. There's a book written about depth of coaching, bring more depth to your coaching. I feel I can do that, but it was never something I was driving for. But the media allowed me to stay in the game, stay in the trend. I loved listening to Craig McRae. Let's get as good as we can, as quick as we can. Chris Scott, every year it's a blank canvas. Chris Scott my players don't want me, I'll go. All those sort of things. So what I want to do, I've been strong in delivering, but I want to, it's a blank canvas here. I've already spoken to Hayes and Enright. Think about how do you want to play, what do you want I've been guilty of not bringing everyone on the journey. I think my players, yes, but I want to bring all my football staff, make them emotionally connected to the journey and inspire them as much as you want to inspire your player group.
Well, does that media experience help you get it for where the game is at now, notoriously known for a real defensive style? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I could break that down for you, but I won't. But yeah, I think the design of the game's come back to me. The game was stilted, the double guarding the mark. You had to go around and back and probe. Now you can play an up-tempo brand. In my due diligence, I've done a lot on the club in the background. My network is strong in and outside of the club. But one thing I do know, these boys can really run. So that gives us a capacity to play a brand that can go.
Yeah, they harshly tainted as someone who's better defensive. I mean, unpack it a bit for us.
Yeah, no, I'm not here to defend myself. I mean, 09, I think we kicked 100 points more than Geelong did. So, but that's okay. There was you aim for Nirvana, top 4 in both. I think I achieved that a couple of times. But other times it was, 1 defence, 8 attack, which wasn't really good enough. You want to strike a balance. So, but I think with Corey Enright, with Lenny Hayes, we've got incredible development coach here, Damien Carroll, with Jake Batchelor. We've got David Rath on board as a really good strategist. So the key is to really pick those guys up, work together, my job's, I don't want to be in the weeds as much. If we're not scoring, I'll blame those guys, So, so my job's to lead, create an environment, paint a vision, let the players paint a vision, create a framework for the conversations and drive forward from there.
Ross, Saints fans have been starved for success. How quickly do you turn it around? Then you mentioned Craig and Craig. Is that give you some hope that it can be good?
Yeah, well, I don't work on probability mindset. Most people do. My model's possibility. Anything's possible. What do you want to be and what do you need to do to achieve it? And relentlessly apply that action till you do. So how long does it take? I don't know. But I know it can be done. Get the right people in the right seats and away you go. So, look, they're very competitive. Nothing but good reports. I had an understanding of the review and what it translates to on field, I'm not too sure, I think. And it's not my position to talk about Brett, but he was an important part of the history of this club, as was Alan Richardson, as was I, as was Grant Thomas. So the aim is to build something that's sustainable and a game plan that, in the end, we can get to where we want it. Because I don't like the narrative around St Kilda. I haven't enjoyed it at all.
Ross, have you always felt like having unfinished business at this club, given how close you got 2009-2010?
Yeah, look, we have no regrets, that group, because we couldn't have given it any more. We couldn't have tried, or could we have executed better? Yeah. So, and I think that's why we got great bonds, because we trust each other that we gave everything. So, in my coaching resume, there's unfinished business, and there's Fremantle need to win a flag. This is in '66. I mean, it's an Everest that can be climbed, needs to be climbed, and I'd like to be the person to do that with a group.
Ross, just on that disrespectful narrative, how can you...
I don't think it's disrespectful. I think, it's everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's fine.
Where does that come from, and how can you shift that that narrative?
Well, you've got to win games of footy, right?
How do you think you'll be different the second time round?
Yeah, well, look, at risk of repeating myself, I want to put blank canvas, bring people on the journey, be in the weeds less, rely on people, build the... Look, I always had strong relationships. I think that what I was behind closed doors, I think I got more capacity to show you guys on the other side. To be honest, I dropped the curtain. I was very protective of my players in the club, and that, so, look, I don't regret that, but I think you can see the other side a bit more.
Like that emotion that you had after that.
I cry a lot, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more? Can you let us know a little bit about that emotion?
It's a bit. I don't really want to open up because I might break down here, but it did change the course. The course of my life and the events and my family. So, but Fremantle was an incredible time as well. We went to great heights, but under the same circumstance, I would do the same, but. It was a very difficult thing to do. It was very difficult, and I had a reputation about what I was for a long time, and I really liked that, and it did change that, even though I don't think it was justified, but there was a huge price to pay, and I think it changed the course of the events and the history of this club as well. So I didn't get to exit those champion players in the manner I believe they should have been. So there was lots of people that paid a price for that. So, but in saying that, we're all as good as our next moment. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's privileged. You know, I walked past the Hall of Fame. There was Robert Harvey talking about St Kilda. It's a privilege to be here and respect it. That's where I sit.
What's your message to members who have or may have reservations on you returning, given what happened 11 years ago?
Yeah, look, I think they're entitled to. I think, they facilitate what's put in front of them. They're passionate. We want them to be passionate. I say, just give me the opportunity to get into action, and we're all only as good as our next moment, aren't we? All of us in the room. So I want to stack a lot of good moments here. So in the end, they'll say this was the right decision. But there's no victory lap here, and I've heard that term before, and I like it. This is just the starting gun going off. Everyone in the club's got to do some heavy lifting here.
Are there a couple of players you're pretty excited to get calls on in particular?
Yeah, I love them all. I saw Winhager in the gym this morning. I come in to do some shots. Not that photography's my long suit. So, yeah, all of them really. I see possibility in everyone. I give trust until it's broken, then it's hard. So, yeah, I think the probability and limitations on list. I didn't look at the list when I got the job here. I didn't look at it when I went to Fremantle. I didn't look at it here because if you get the right people making the right decisions, it can turn around quickly. We want to go down and give 100% effort 100% of the time for our members and ourselves.
Corey and Lee, but is there another appointment to be made there when it comes to that?
Yeah, there's certainly a vacancy. We've done a lot of work there, and I think in the really near term, I think the club would be able to announce something. That's really positive.
Familiar face?
Yeah, I think so.
Ross, how important was it for you to go through a process that maybe didn't have an array of candidates, a process where you were the main man they wanted?
Yeah, look, it's nice to be headhunted and wooed. There's been a lot about that. I think I said something about a process against us. That was never the issue with me. I went through a process to get the job at St Kilda that went for 2 weeks. It was solid, You did all the executive testing at Chandler McLeod. I did all of that, and then the furnace of coaching. So, but it's probably trusting that you're not just blowing in the wind, to be honest. And if you look from afar from outside, I think I was vindicated in some of those decisions. But in saying that, I'm really keen to focus on St Kilda, and I'm just thrilled to be back with an opportunity. That's all.
What's the first phone call from Andrew? Was that Thursday night was the board meeting? What was the first conversation?
I think it might have been on the Friday, Thursday. I can't remember. Yeah, I was like, look, to be honest, we're all in shock, really. I've been an AFL coach. I've been terminated. But it gave that club clean air. That was fine. It's not me to postulate on the why, but I was like, whoa, I don't know, mate. I don't know.
So was that your initial reaction when you got the...
Yeah, it's like, whoa, And so, yeah, it was whoa,
Did Lee, when he spoke to Lee on the phone, did he push you towards
Lenny?
Lee back?
No, he didn't push me. And look, did I want to use his name? No, but I think it gave context to... No, he was just checking in. It was more I understand what you're going through. There was no do it, don't do it. But it's nice to have someone that really understands, because everyone thinks and they are incredible, coveted, rare jobs. But when you've been in there, it's like as a kid going to the dentist. It's hard to go back, So, but the highs and, walking on MCG, 100,000 people, prelim finals, winning them, grand finals, big games at both clubs. But to be honest, the champion players and the players that play roles, when I see how much they dedicate themselves to and the pressure they take, that's the inspiration. And, when they reach out now post-careers and you've got a great relationship, we want to be more than just footballers here. We want to really build people off field as well. It's critical. And the club's already doing that incredibly well.
Did Lee have any advice for you, Ross?
No, it's just acknowledgement of understand what you're going through. And it was nice because they are coveted jobs. Everyone, you don't jump at them, but do your due diligence. Make sure you're up for the fight more than anything, and I'm up for the fight.
You come in pretty late, Ross. You're not
Yeah.
you're up against and how to get up to speed. Have you met many of the players or spoken to anyone?
Yeah, I come to RSEA Park early today, the number in the gym. So, to be honest, when we were here, it was a condemned building. This is like Disneyland at St Kilda. This is incredible. So, all kudos to Matt Finnis and the executive, what they've done from when we left and went to walk back into this. Because I dropped the curtain. I think I drove past once, but to get inside and see the staff, and it's incredible what they've done here. So there's not no excuse, but we need to take advantage of it and deliver. Yeah, and it is late. It is late, but we're confident we've got a lot of good people here.
Ross, you went through the seafood years. I'm wondering how much of a factor that was for you coming back to this club, knowing what you were coming back to as opposed to what you left.
Well, I didn't know until I come back to the board. That's the first time I walked through. I was like, this is incredible, So, look, it helps. Fremantle had a $100 million facility. It was incredible. But you know what? You need an oval, you need a gym, and you need players that are committed and can deliver on field. That's all. We were 14 spending footy during those years. So as good as this is, they don't do the work for you.
Ross, you mentioned Jeff Bond. Why was he so influential in making the call?
Well, because the relationship between a senior coach and the GM of footy is a critical piece. They do the organisation heavy lifting, and it's the models that Andrew Ireland and the Swans championed with Paul Roos. It's a model of success. He's my boss. He holds me to account. I need to know he can manage everybody else, but I'm the leader of football. So, it's a role that can confuse people. They can get in and want to be the coach. They don't manage, or they're not strong enough. His job's to allow me to coach, and I'm confident he'll do that, and he'll manage up, manage down, manage sideways, and he'll let us get to work. So it was a critical, and he's a straight shooter. We know that. So that's what I like.
Ross, you've been really caring with your players, but you've been really tough on them at times as well. Can you be as tough, 6 or 7 years on? Kids are different these days.
Yeah, well, my kids are 14, 15 and a half and 17 because I started late. So they're as challenging as any teenager. So I understand the different world now, how they need to be handled. And look, the young guys at Fremantle, I'm as close to a lot of them as I am to the senior guys here. So I think if you treat them like they're your sons and that's how you want your son to be treated, I don't think you ever really cross the line. Have I been perfect? No, but you establish a framework. Players, everywhere I've been, they've asked for honesty. Just tell us straight, because their radars are strong, and if they know it's coming from the right place, they're fine. They might always like what they hear, but they go away and reflect. Brett Kirk didn't like the conversations, but he had the football character come back and go, yeah, you're right, and we get to work. But you're right, I'm only as good as each moment with the player. So there's so many more resources now. We want to care for our players. Again, Chris Scott, give them the environment to be their best. That's my job.
When you mentioned that the run, is that when we saw Geelong in the premiership with a lot of good runners, is that something you...
It doesn't hurt. Yeah. Tom Hawkins was handy as well, right?
Well, when you put the Lenny and Corey as well about how you want to play, what a line?
Well, they haven't come back yet, so they've got their doodle pen out and they're working now. So I'm really excited to see what they got. Look, I've been out for a little while. My technical competence is strong, but I don't want that to be... I don't want to be in the weeds as much. So another assistant coach at another club texted me. He goes, I was out for 2 years. It took me an hour to get back in the groove, so I'm sure you'll be right. So,
Simon, can you just explain why you went across?
Yeah, I think Andrew's touched on. We had a pretty solid 10-week review on what this club needed to go forward. The playing list is solid and needs some strong direction. I think you can tell from today how engaging Ross is, the fact he can sell a journey. He's got strong vision about what he wants. And we've got a playing group that I know are hungry to commit to someone and to give their all. And there's no better person than Ross. From what we know, we've got board members that have played under Ross, and we know what he brings, and we know how he drives people, and we know the success he's after. And I think to hear that he's got unfinished business here is music to our ears. And I know I've spoken to lots of the players that are itching to get going and itching to buy into what Ross is going to sell. So it was pretty compelling.
So under his contract, obviously the modern day coaching contract, there's an opportunity for clubs to protect themselves, which 6 months or whatever. Is there an element of that in this
protect the club?
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk about confidential clauses in contracts, but there is in the AFL industry, so it's no different for Ross. That's how we negotiate. And
Unfortunately, it's a strong parameter. So, but that's part of the risk, right? It's not really about the money. It's really, I'm happy to talk about that. It's almost a workplace contract, to be honest. It's not far off what a typical worker would get, you know. So, which is fine. It really is about if you do the right thing and you produce, you stay, right?
What about going the other way, Ross? Last time there was 12 months that you could act on yourself. Is there anything?
No, there was 3 months notice. Yeah.
Sorry, 3 months
yeah,
notice.
3 months.
To
Yeah.
exit the following year.
No, I didn't put that. Oh, actually, yeah, I have got something that I can put 6 months in. Yeah, but that would be. I don't think I'm delivering for you. So, look, times have changed. My personal circumstances have changed. Management's changed, and the AFL really has moved away to that more workplace agreement, and it's really reflective in the agreement we got here. And that's, you know, I'm in a position where I can take that risk. Wisel Property Group said, "Go, we'll back you, and we're here if you want to come back."
Andrew, did you sound out any other coaches?
In terms of look, we're very clear through the process. The review was pointing us straight at. If we made the decision that Brett wasn't going to take us where we needed, the review was pointing straight at Ross Lyon. At the very clear first choice in terms of what we needed to do. That, of course, came with a risk that we wouldn't be successful in getting, and there was some contingency plans behind that. But absolutely, the plan was to make the decision on Brett, which we made. And then once that was made Thursday, a week and a half ago, we went really hard after Ross. Unfortunately, we were able to get him.
Sorry. How can a review be that detailed that's pointing at one particular person? Is it? What about the review said that it has to be Ross Lyon?
Oh, look, you know, Simon can talk to it as well. There's a bunch of things around. Really, what we're trying to build is sustainable football success, which is not easy to do. It's less about winning next week's game and more about building a culture of success. And certainly no one available, and possibly no one at all, has done a better job demonstrating that at 2 different football clubs than Ross Lyon. There's a bunch of other detail behind that. We had the benefit of people like Jason Blake on our board who knew exactly what Ross could bring, and it became pretty clear that there'd be a strong step forward, and we were able to achieve the goal of getting Ross after the decision was made.
If it was pointed towards Ross, was there, I mean, you said that Brett put his case forward really well in that week before the board meeting. Is there anything he could have said to save his job, given there was a clear direction?
Yeah, look. It's a really fair question, and the one thing I want to absolutely stress, it was a very genuine effort from all of us to find a way to move forward with Brett Ratton, the coach of the St Kilda Football Club, and there's been a lot of press. Most of it's been inaccurate. The only thing I take issue with is the extent to which we were at all callous in the decision. It was a heartbreaking week for all of us because we like Brett so much and have so much regard for him. And yeah, we really need to get more clarity of a strong vision for taking our club forward, when, to be frank, we haven't shown much progress in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and we really struggled to get a sense of that vision and clarity of direction that we felt we needed. So yes, there was a hope that we would get Brett over the line. That was unsuccessful, unfortunately.
Andrew, when will the club deliver the rest of the findings of the review?
I didn't hear that question, sir.
When will the club deliver the rest of the findings of the review?
Oh, later this week. I've been busy, but hopefully later this week or the weekend at the latest. But we'll release high-level findings of the review shortly. And I think, to be honest, it's a fair few of the outcomes you've seen, with the appointment of Ross and the appointment of Jeff Walsh being the most important of them. But I did promise to members, and I will follow up in releasing findings from the review within the next week.
Well, Andrew has said a couple of times in his opening remarks about 150-year anniversary. Does Saints fans dare to dream next year?
Well, we always dream. Anything's possible, but if you don't do the work, you're just a daydreamer, aren't you? So we're going to put our work boots on. Look, we've got plenty of ground to make as every club. Now, we want to improve our people, and there's no more important people in a football club than the players. So everyone's capability within the organisation, particularly in football, and me, I clearly need to improve. And with that comes a better strategy from all of us, and we're all chasing Geelong. That's where we sit.
Spoken for about climbing Everest.
Pardon? Well, AFL footy, every day you've got to get up and you've got to work your butt off, right? So, and you've got to work harder and you've got to work smarter. And Yeah, I try not to put any limitations on anybody until I get in here, because it's not like I've been sitting with a lens and analysing, but I know we can run, right? So it's the running game's here and it's here to stay, and Geelong took advantage on that. They were really strategic and identified, even a couple of years ago, where we need to get some run in and support our stars, you know. So, and, you know, Atkins, what a story. There's a lot of criticism about Geelong. They develop and the kids aren't getting games and you're not playing them, but you get the result of that with Atkins that comes through the VFL. So no one was happier for Chris Scott than me, because the criticism wrapped around him when I thought that he was an incredible coach. So you know what, we're all chasing him, we're all chasing Geelong, and it starts really at every player working hard today, me working hard, but our list management team getting to work, and you get a couple of drafts quickly and you stack them up and your club looks pretty good.
Simon and Ross had a confidential settlement a few years back at Fremantle. To what extent were you able to ask them about that and comfort yourself that was not an ongoing issue?
Oh, Ross and I had lots of conversations about lots of stuff. I mean, we've got full trust and faith in Ross, support his family, the AFL looking at that matter at the time, and we're quite comfortable as well. So we go forward with strong faith and trust in Ross and look forward to working with him.
Andrew, would you have sacked Brett if Ross wasn't available? It's as simple as that.
Look, yeah, it's a fair question. The truth is that we really felt that we really put our mind into, is Brett going to take us forward as a coach? And we really tried to isolate the two decisions. And yeah, I think, unfortunately, it just felt the right call for the football club, as hard as it was. We did the work, we spent the time in terms of what we needed. And it was nothing to do with Brett's character at all. It was nothing to do with Brett's desire to change and be the best coach he could be. He threw his heart and soul into it. We just didn't feel he was the right fit for what we needed going forward. And it wouldn't be fair to Brett or our football club to go ahead, and therefore the right thing to do on behalf of the club, as heartbreak as it was, to make the change. So I think that we were independent decisions, yes.
We know you made the first official call to Ross on Friday after you sacked Brett on the Thursday night, but did you have an awareness of his availability through former players? And can you talk to Nick Rewalt's involvement? Did you have an awareness of Ross's availability before you put that official call in?
No, Nick wasn't. Nick wasn't involved. I do speak to Nick, but Nick wasn't involved. Look, you know, I did check at some point during the process, not with Ross, to be entirely clear that, you know, Ross was someone who's known to me, that Ross was keen on coaching again. That person made it entirely clear, and I agree that having conversations ahead of us make the decision on Brett made no sense. But we knew from the conversations he'd had with Carlton, the conversations he'd had around Essendon, that he was keen to coach again if the opportunity was there and the fit was there.
So nobody else was interviewed or former coaches called?
We checked. We don't want to get into details in relation to other coaches. I mean, there were contingencies if Ross didn't work out, but no one else was interviewed, correct.
That's all. Thanks, sorry.
Good?
Thanks,
Scott.
We'll just head out there.
Thanks. Cheers. Thank you very much.